Introducing Pokemon Minecraft, a Pokemon Fakemon region created by PokemanFran, and I've linked their Instagram down in the description. There are 3 games, Pokemon Prismarine, Pokemon Obsidian, and Pokemon Netherrack. Let's get into the complete Pokedex. Treeper, Grass type. Treeper have an explosive temper and often sneak up behind others before attacking. Their camouflage makes it difficult to see them coming, inspired by the Creeper. Bombush, Grass type. Evolves from Treeper. Bombush hide in the trees and shrubbery until someone unsuspecting comes by. They love surprising people and destroying things. Grassplode, Grass and Electric type, evolves from Bombush. Supposedly, Grassplode is filled with the power of a lightning strike, making its explosive power even more devastating. When it gets angry, nothing within 20 feet of it is safe from its blasts, inspired by the charged Creeper. Wadlava, Fire type. Wadlava are timid but friendly and live on the surface of lava lakes. They can often be seen sitting on the backs of bigger Magmarch, inspired by the baby Strider. Magmarch, Fire type. Magmarch have developed tough feet from spending so much time on the lava's surface. They offer safe rides across to smaller Wadlava and other small Pokemon, inspired by the Strider. Gascorch, Fire and Ghost type. Evolves from Magmarch. When the heat from the lava finally takes its toll on a Magmarch, it is filled with ghostly energy and floats into the air, and its legs and hair hang down, inspired by the Ghast. Squibby, Water type. Squibby are not very smart or very good swimmers, but they are very nice. They spend their days aimlessly floating through the ocean, inspired by the Squid. Squibble, Water type. Squibble are faster at swimming than Squibby and also have developed a way to defend themselves. When they feel threatened, they shoot ink into the water and swim away. Squizzard, Water and Psychic type. Squizzard are a lot smarter than their previous forms and have developed an additional form of defense. They pulse the lights on their bodies to hypnotize potential threats, inspired by the Glow Squid. Grabottle, Bug type. Grabottle are very vulnerable because they store their sweet honey food source in their abdomen. This makes them a target for other Pokemon, so they stay protected in the nest, inspired by the honey bottle and the baby bee. Happy, Bug and Flying type. Evolves from Grabottle with max friendship. Happy have a small hive with them to carry pollen and even Grabottle from place to place. They are very cheerful and less threatened, inspired by the bee and the beehive. Flockade, Normal type. 2 forms, Flocking and Solo form. Flockade stays safe by sticking together, their thick wool blocking most attacks. When by themselves they are very vulnerable, inspired by the sheep. New ability, Flocking. When it has a lot of HP, the Pokemon forms a defensive blockade. It stops flocking when its HP is low. Banachoo, Normal and Electric type. Banachoo has 5 variants. Banachoo are very fast and can be found nearly everywhere. They are always on the alert, inspired by rabbits and Pika clones. Hatchirp, Normal and Flying type. Hatchirp are incredibly small and weak. They stay in their eggshells until they are strong enough to evolve, inspired by the egg and the baby chicken. Chickluck, Normal and Flying type, evolves from Hatchirp. Chickluck are not much more formidable than Hatchirp, but they have developed some flying skills, inspired by the chicken. Porkchub. Porkchub are very cute and spend their days happily playing in the mud, inspired by baby pig and raw porkchop. Borkchop, Normal and Ground type, evolves from Porkchub. Borkchop have played in the mud so much that it has become a part of them. They take great pride in the flowers that sprout from their heads, inspired by the muddy pig from Minecraft Earth and a raw porkchop. Grummet, Ice and Rock type. These Pokemon are found on snowy summits where they headbutt anything and everything. Despite their grumpy nature, they are also kept on farms for their milk, inspired by the goat. Cowie, Normal type. Cowies stay with their mothers at all times, inspired by the baby cow. Milk Cattle, Normal type, evolves from Cowie. Milk cattle are very docile and its milk can cure any ailment, inspired by the cow. Moo Blossom, Fairy and Grass type, evolves from milk cattle in a flower forest. Moo Blossom are filled with a whimsical power and sprout flowers wherever they go. They are often followed around by Happy, inspired by Moo Bloom from Minecraft Earth. Mucelium, Ghost and Poison type, evolves from milk cattle in a mushroom island. Mushrooms have sprouted on its body and drained it of its energy. It has taken on a new energy and spreads toxic spores wherever it goes, inspired by Mushroom. Donkari, Normal and Grass type. Donkari are commonly seen on farms where they use their strength to help transport crops from place to place, inspired by Baby Donkey and Wheat. Mewlift, Normal and Grass type, evolves from Donkari when Sea Diamond is in the party. Mewlift are very strong and a lot faster than Donkari. They can carry incredible weight for long distances, inspired by a mule and a hay bale. Fairy Colt, Steel type. Their hide is as tough as iron, especially their heads, which they often bump into things as they learn to run, inspired by Baby Horse and Iron Horse armor. Gold Dash evolves from Fairy Colt. Goldash are not as durable as they once were, but they are incredibly fast and spend all their time racing with each other. Inspired by a horse and gold horse armor. Steediamond, Steel type. Evolves from Goldash. Steediamond are incredibly durable and fast. It is said that they can run straight through trees and boulders. Inspired by a horse and diamond horse armor. Pup Protect, Normal type. They are very territorial and will protect their fellow Pokemon. They really like chewing on bones. Inspired by a baby wolf. Loyal Lobo, Normal type. Evolves from Pup Protect with max friendship. Once a Loyal Lobo has bonded with a trainer, they can never be traded away. They will protect their trainer with their life. Inspired by a tamed wolf. Tabbyfast, Electric type. When frightened, they can outrun almost anything. Their crooked tail somehow contributes to their incredible speed. Inspired by a cat. Spuder, Bug and Poison type. Spuder can be found deep underground and make large, messy webs to trap prey. They are filled with enough venom to down several Pokemon in a single day. Inspired by a cave spider and a potion of poison. Tyrantula, Bug and Dark type. They usually stay in dark places during the day and come out at night to hunt. On rare occasions, they can even turn invisible. Inspired by a spider. Scalebo, Ghost type. They aren't very fast, but they are incredibly accurate across large distances. Inspired by a skeleton. Spydread, Bug and Ghost type. Created when fusing Tyrantula and Scalebo with a DNA splicer. In a rare phenomenon, Tyrantula and Scalebo combine and become stronger. Spydread is very fast and can attack from far away, making it a big threat. Inspired by a spider jockey. Fiuma, Ghost and Dark type. Evolves from Scalebo with a Dusk Stone. Fiuma are found guarding the Nether Fortress. One touch from them can bring even the strongest foe to its knees. New ability, Withering Touch. Contact moves have a chance to apply a 2-turn curse. Inspired by the Wither Skeleton. Frostray, Ghost and Ice type. Evolves from Scalebo with an Ice Stone. They are found wandering in snowstorms. Just getting close to one causes things to slow down. New ability, Frosty. Non-contact moves have a chance to drop the opposing Pokemon's speed. Inspired by Stray. Mandibog, Ghost and Poison type. Evolves from Scalebo. The mushrooms that grow on its body are very poisonous and they can shoot them very far. Inspired by the bogs and mushrooms. Adorabat, Flying type. They live in caves, flying around and hanging from the ceiling. Inspired by the bat. Horibat, Flying and Ghost type. Evolves from Horibat by level up 3 nights in a row. Horibat have shed their cuteness and now torment sleepless travelers. The longer you stay awake, the stronger they get. Inspired by the Phantom. Zobby, Poison type. While they may be small, Zobby are incredibly fast and dangerous. It is easy for them to evade attacks. Inspired by the baby zombie. Dedel, Poison type. Evolves from Zobby. Upon evolving, it becomes a lot slower and weaker. It wanders aimlessly until it spots something to chase. Drowndrab, Poison and Water type. Evolves from Dedel with a Water Stone. They float through the ocean protecting old ruins and attacking passing boats. Inspired by the Drowned. Huscreep, Poison and Ground type. Evolves from Dedel with a Sunstone. They wander the desert, unfazed by the scorching sun. They drain anything near them just like the desert. Inspired by the Husk. Gooboing, Poison type. They love bouncing around caves and swamps, but when attacked they split into smaller pieces and fight back. New ability, Split. At 50% HP they split and attacking moves go twice at half power. At 25% HP they split again and attacking moves go 4 times at quarter power. Inspired by the Slime. Gooburn, Poison and Fire type. Evolves from Gooboing when leveled up in the Nether. They are covered in a molten shell to protect their white-hot core. When they split, they lose a little bit of heat. Inspired by the Magma Cube. Pigrunt, Fighting type. They live in large groups and often wrestle each other to become stronger. They love anything shiny and gold. Inspired by the baby Piglin. Piggrapple, Fighting type. Evolves from Pigrunt. They are all about fighting. They hunt in packs to see who is the strongest. Inspired by Piglin. Brutustle, Fighting and Steel type. Evolves from Piggrapple. Brutustle have proven they are the toughest and have developed armor from the gold they collect. Inspired by the Piglin Brute. Zombor, Fighting and Poison type. Evolves from Piggrapple when poisoned by another zombie. Zombor no longer know anything but fighting. The moment someone challenges them, they fight without stopping. Inspired by the zombie Piglin. Hoggle, Normal and Fighting type. Hoggle are small but aggressive. The only thing they seem to fear are some types of mushroom. Inspired by the baby Hoglin. Mohawk, Normal and Fighting type. Evolves from Hoggle. Mohawk are very large and aggressive. It takes a whole group of Piggrapple to take one down. Inspired by Hoglin. Rotusk, Poison and Fighting type. Evolves from Mohawk when poisoned by another zombie. Rotusk are one of the most dangerous things around. They fear nothing and feel nothing. Inspired by Zoglin. Blades, Fire and Steel type. They guard fortresses in the Nether, shooting fire and spinning their bodies at a dangerous speed. Inspired by Blaze and the Blaze Rod. Infernova, fire and steel type, evolves from blades with a King's Rock. They are very rare and command all the blades in their fortress. 3 of their swords are now shield, which makes them very durable. Inspired by the hovering Inferno. Blouse, flying and steel type. They can be found around the trial chambers and are there to test anyone who would enter. Inspired by the breeze. Dolphast, water type. They are one of the fastest Pokemon in the ocean. They help others swim quickly when they can. Inspired by the dolphin and dolphin's grace. Scootle, ground and water type. Scootle are very small and fragile, so they wear their eggshell until they grow stronger. They are born with the ability to swim and dig. Inspired by the baby sea turtle and sea turtle eggs. Terrafoam, ground and water type. Terrafoam have grown sturdy shells and hard helmets to protect them in the ocean. They create the dunes on the beach as they make nests in their back. Inspired by sea turtles and turtle nests. Blockquill, water and poison type. When threatened, it blows up into a spiky cube, making it nearly impossible for anything to attack it. It is much slower than its relative Quillfish. Inspired by pufferfish and quillfish. Bobfin, water type. It is disguised as a bobber to deter fishermen from catching it, but it still gets caught sometimes. New ability, Bait. This Pokemon becomes the target of all enemy Pokemon. Inspired by the fishing rod. Pestclaw, water type. Evolves from Bobfin. Their fins are now sharp and curved, and they use them to snag prey. They use their long whiskers to sense their surroundings. Inspired by the fishing rod and salmon or cod. Tropicolor, water type. They fill the tropical reefs and change color to communicate. Many variations have been mistaken for distinct species. Only some of the possible combinations are represented here. The 2 of color can be any combination of 16 colors. Inspired by tropical fish. Watlotl, water and fairy type. They can be found in groups swimming in pools deep in the ground. They are very friendly and will help trainers in need. Inspired by the Axolotl. Crabiled, water and steel type. They hang around construction sites and love helping humans build. Their claw is specialized to this purpose. Inspired by the crab from the mob vote. Gator Raft, water and dark type. They hang out near the water's edge and wait for something to mistake them for a bamboo raft. Once in deep water, they pull their passenger under. Inspired by the alligator from the Chinese mob vote and the bamboo raft. Sawsbark, grass type. In a region without seasons, this relative of Sawsbark changes form based on its biome. Its body has taken on the properties of wood. Inspired by the white-lipped deer from the Chinese mob vote and oak, birch, spruce, dark oak, and sawsbark. Meerkat, ground type. They live in colonies, spending their days digging elaborate tunnel systems or keeping watch. Inspired by the meerkat from the mob vote and the wooden shovel. Kitsweet, grass type. Their bodies resemble the sweet berries they like to eat, so they can hide in the prickly bushes for protection. Inspired by the baby fox and the sweet berry. Vixsweet, grass type. Evolves from Kitsweet. The berries that grow on their tail are incredibly sweet, but they are often difficult to catch. Inspired by the fox and the sweet berry bush. Frostsweet, grass and ice type. Evolves from Vixsweet using an ice stone. They use their bush tail to keep them warm when they sleep in the snow. They are almost impossible to see in a snowy forest. Inspired by the snowy fox and the sweet berry bush. Razcoco, grass type. It loves mischief and can be found on the trees, throwing the pods on its tail at innocent passers-by. Inspired by the golden monkey from the Chinese mob vote and cocoa beans. Camound, ground type. They roam the desert looking for water. Supposedly they store extra water in their hump. Inspired by the baby camel. Camoasis, ground and water type. Evolves from Camound. They have developed a reservoir on their back and carry water with them across the desert. They will help others in need if they are lost. Inspired by the camel and the desert well. Bear Cube, water and ice type. Their buoyant ice bodies help them stay afloat in the ocean while their parents hunt for food. Inspired by the baby polar bear and ice block and fish. Iceberg, water and ice type. They are friendly unless they have young nearby. They use their spike body as a weapon when attacking. Inspired by the polar bear, ice spike, and fish. Scavolga, rock and flying type. It perches at the top of rocky formations and watches from above. Inspired by the vulture from the mob vote. Parakeet, grass and flying type. They live in the jungle, high in the trees. Their vine tail helps them fly and blend in. Inspired by parrots and vines. Velocelot, electric and grass type. It speeds around the jungle, expertly weaving through the foliage. Supposedly it is distantly related to Tabbyfast. Inspired by the ocelot. Tangloom, grass and dark type. This relative of Tangler likes dark places. It floats around dense jungles and caves, looking for the darkest spots. Inspired by glare from the mob vote and vines. Peblin, water and rock type. They collect coral and gravel to decorate themselves and impress each other. The coral on their head is very hard. Inspired by the penguin from the mob vote, gravel, and horn coral. Propole, grass and water type. The propagule on their body acts as a propeller to help them swim in swampy waters. inspired by a tadpole and mangrove propagule. Mangrove, grass and water type. The propagule grows into a mangrove tree as it evolves. It now sits very still in the swamp and waits to shoot prey with its tongue. Inspired by a frog, mangrove tree and lily pad. Ostracacea, grass and flying type. They live in the savanna and can be hard to spot at a distance. When they are in danger, they run very fast. New ability, grounded. This Pokemon can be hit by ground type moves but powers up its flying type moves. Inspired by an ostrich from the mob vote and the acacia tree. Armadillo, rock type. Their shells are very tough. When they curl up in a ball, almost nothing can damage them. Inspired by the armadillo. Pangro, grass type. It has different forms based on its nature. Pangro come in several different temperaments, but they all enjoy eating bamboo. Inspired by panda and bamboo. Wanderama, normal type. They can be found all over the world, although no one knows how. They are constantly on the move. Inspired by the wandering trader llama. Barnacle, rock and water type. Revived from the cone fossil. They lived in the sea in prehistoric times. They would grab unsuspecting prey and drag them deep underwater. Inspired by the monster of the ocean depths and the orthocone. Hungryops, rock and grass type. Revived from the bite fossil. In prehistoric times, they would hide in the ground and pop out to eat anything and everything. Inspired by the great hunger, Eriops and moss. Grass newt, ground and grass type. Revived from the earthy egg. Grass newt are born from eggs that lay dormant in the ground. They like sniffing around for things hidden in the dirt. Inspired by the baby sniffer. Snifflora, ground and grass type. Evolves from grass newt. The seeds it digs out of the ground often land on its back and take root. The plants give off a faint light. Inspired by the sniffer and the torch flower. Rascreep, dark and fairy type. They live deep in caves looking for treasures to stash in their tail. If you play with them, they may give you something. Inspired by Rascal from the mob vote. Horps, poison type. They are very rare but can most often be seen carrying a Skelbow. New ability, Decay. At 50% HP it changes to a ghost type. Inspired by the zombie horse and the skeleton horse. Brick Crawl, bug and rock type. They hide in the stone walls of ancient strongholds, coming out in large groups to attack when disturbed. New ability, Stone Eater. If hit by a rock type move, the Pokemon has its defense raised instead of taking damage. Inspired by silverfish and mossy stone bricks. Testificute, normal type. These cute little Pokemon live in large social groups. Supposedly they are very adaptable. Inspired by the villager. Testificrop, normal and grass type. Evolves from Testificute with a miracle seed. It turns old crops into nutrients for the new ones it plants. The wheat from its head makes the best bread. Inspired by the farmer villager, composter, wheat and potato. Testificook, normal and fire type. Evolves from Testificute with a charcoal. They control the fire in their belly to cook anything to perfection. Smoke is constantly coming from their head. Inspired by the butcher villager and a smoker. Testificatch, normal and water type. Evolves from Testificute with mystic water. They sit by the water all day using their lure tail to catch fish. When threatened, they just look like a barrel. New ability, Bait. This Pokemon becomes the target of all enemy Pokemon. Inspired by the fisherman villager and a barrel. Testificleric, normal and fairy type. Evolves from Testificute with a fairy feather. They hold a mythical power and a knowledge of all things magic. Inspired by the cleric villager and a brewing stand. Testifichart, normal and ground type. Evolves from Testificute with soft sand. It remembers everywhere it has been and can never get lost. It has a perfect sense of direction. Inspired by a cartographer villager, cartography table and a compass. Testificlank, normal and steel type. Evolves from Testificute with a metal coat. They have developed an impenetrable outer shell and can even create armor for others as well. Inspired by the armor of villager and a blast furnace. Testificreep, normal and poison type. Evolves from Testificute when poisoned by another zombie. Something changes when it evolves and it no longer gets along with the others of its kind. Inspired by a zombie villager. Jack-o'-lantern, grass and ice type. Jack-o'-lantern are brave and defend others by throwing snowballs. They are very weak to heat. Inspired by the snow golem. Gopper, steel and electric type. They love all things mechanical and can't help but press any buttons they see. Inspired by the copper golem from the mob vote, agent from Minecraft Education Edition and the lightning rod. Golemite, steel and electric type. Evolves from Gopper. When they evolve, they become very protective of others and will fight off lots of enemies before tiring. Inspired by the iron golem. Noseplinth, rock and fairy type. They look for gems and other shiny things to carry on top of their heads. Inspired by tough golem from the mob vote and Nosepass. Pillagoon, dark type. They have a fierce rivalry with Testificute and will go great lengths to attack them, but they do seem to be related somehow. Inspired by the Pillager. Pillagunk, dark and poison type. Evolves from Pillagoon with a poison barb. They can create all kinds of substances that can harm enemies or help allies. Inspired by the Witch and a cauldron. Pillagash, dark and steel type. Evolves from Pillagoon with a metal coat. Their arms are incredibly sharp and are used to wreak havoc on their opponents. Inspired by Vindicator and the Iron Axe. Pillarghoul, Dark and Ghost type. Evolves from Pillagoon with a spell tag. It is filled with ghostly magic that it uses to summon other ghosts. The jaws on their head are incredibly dangerous if you get too close. Inspired by Evoker and the Evoker Fang. Pillar Glare, Dark and Psychic type. Evolves from Pillagoon with a twisted spoon. It shoots projectiles from the openings in its arms while confusing opponents with illusions. Inspired by Illusioner, the Unused Mob. Pillar Glass, Dark and Ice type. Evolves from Pillagoon with Never Melt Ice. It lives alone in snowy places and summons blocks of ice in the air to crush opponents. Inspired by Iceologer from the Mob Vote. Vexy, Ghost type. When angered, they indiscriminately attack others with their sharp claws. They pass through walls, making them difficult to escape. Inspired by Vex. Ravagiant, Dark and Ground type. They are incredibly powerful and destroy the terrain as they rampage. Their roar is loud enough to severely injure those around them. Inspired by the Ravager. Lele, Fairy type. They love the sound of music and will help anyone if they play a song for them. Inspired by Ale. Psychic, Bug and Psychic type. They can appear when teleportation is used. They might be from another dimension. Inspired by the Endermite. Endermon, Psychic and Dark type. They can move from one dimension to the other as they please and cannot stand eye contact. Inspired by the Enderman. Shelter, Psychic and Steel type. Their shells are incredibly strong and they are only vulnerable when they open up. Inspired by Shulker. Sendskulk, Dark and Ground type. They live in the deepest, darkest places of the world and can detect tiny vibrations with their antenna. New ability, Echolocation. Sound moves are boosted and being hit by a sound move raises accuracy. Inspired by the Skulk Sensor. Screaker, Dark and Ground type. Evolves from Sendskulk. When it detects vibrations, it lets out a terrible scream from the opening in its back. Inspired by the Skulk Shrieker. Wardoom, Dark and Ground type. Evolves from Screaker. If it is disturbed, it bursts from the ground and attacks. It has incredibly strong hearing and smell, making it difficult to escape. Inspired by the Warden. Banachoo, Blood Moon form. Normal and Electric type. This Pokemon is incredibly rare and only appears during a blood moon. It is incredibly aggressive and is filled with a strange power. Inspired by the Rabbit of Kerbanog and the Blood Moon. Guardian, Water type. Though uncommon, groups of them can be found around ocean monuments protecting the treasure inside. Inspired by the Guardian. Elderock, Water and Rock type. Evolves from Guardian under special circumstances. Elderock is rumored to be created by an ancient civilization to guard the seas and the ocean monument. Inspired by the Elder Guardian boss mob. Witherrain, Ghost and Dark type. Witherrain is summoned under special conditions. Witherrain is said to have been summoned by whoever built the Nether Fortress to rule the Nether. New ability, Withering Crown. Immune to non-contact moves at 50% HP. All attacks have a chance to apply 2-turn curse. Inspired by the Wither boss mob. Endragon, Psychic and Dragon type. Endragon is said to have occupied the End forever. It has a strange relationship with the obsidian formations on its island. Inspired by the Ender Dragon and the Ender Crystal. Toturnal, Psychic and Fairy type. Thought to be created by civilization long ago, they are filled with a mystical power that may grant immortality. New ability, Second Life. Upon taking damage that would drop it to 0 HP, it stops at 1 HP and heals to half once per battle. Inspired by the Totem of Undying. Bit of a different video, but I hope you enjoyed going through all the Pokedex entries for the Minecraft region. If you like this style of the video, let me know down in the comments so I can do this with some of my other regions that I've covered before as well. But in the meantime, Mega Pokemon are coming to the Minecraft region very soon. And once that's uploaded, I'm going to put it up here. But if it's not there, make sure you subscribe to make sure you don't miss it. Cheers guys, and I'll see you in the next one.